Christopher Ward's The 12 watch review for the Time Bomb channel today. G'day guys, hope all is good in your part of the world. And Christopher Ward continue to honour my humble little channel with loan watches. Massive thanks to them for lending me this one. The 12, when it was released, was not one of their releases I think that really got me because it's a little bit dressier than most of the watches that I typically wear. But as soon as I opened the box when it arrived and had a quick look at it, I kind of it didn't take me too long to see why these watches are so popular. Just zoom in a fraction there and release the watch from the plastic. As a sports watch, I think you're going to see really very quickly. So I'm just readjust the camera. Yeah, as I was saying, as a sports watch, I think you could quickly see how this is going to make for a very versatile piece of wrist candy. They come in a range of colours. You've got everything here from your pagan purples to your sky blues. And this one in hand today is what they call the Arctic white dial. But hell, it isn't white at all. It is more of a pale silver. It doesn't, I don't know, because you look at the photos on the website and it comes up as white, but every way that I look at it here at home and outside, I can never seem to get it very white. It's always very silver. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's an appropriate labeling of the dial color. This then is but I'm thinking as well that one of the reasons why it doesn't come up white is because of the texture on the dial, and I'll come on to that in a little bit. So this then is the 40mm version. There is also a 36mm version for those of a slimmer wrist type. It is a smidgen under 10mm thick, and that slab case, I think, just makes it such an easy wearer, in the sense of saying, you can sport it, you can dress it. Incredibly versatile piece. North to south, it's a approximately 44 mils north to south, and I say that's primarily because of with the end links integration of the bracelet. Obviously it's going to sit a fraction longer. The top of the bracelet here begins at 25 mils, and there's quite a slim or severe taper down to 18 mils from top to bottom there, as you can see. These come with 100 meters worth of watery goodness, which is brilliant on a sports watch, and that's partly facilitated by a screw down crown over here. Back to the dial, and I'm going to pop up some close-ups from different angles. Let's see if I can get something good off the camera here, off the phone camera here. Yeah, I mean, it's just, as I say, I think that's entirely the reason why the whiteness of the dial vanishes, because there's so much light being refracted from different angles, etc. Yeah, it's quite a special dial. Obviously, that guilloche there style there is, if I'm going to take a close-up shot, it's the Christopher Ward logo cross. So yes, it is a perverse self-celebration a la Andy Warhol repetition. But holy moly, it's drop dead gorgeous and provides, as I say, almost too much light refraction off every angle. Really very impressive. It almost feels like it's constantly alive. Sort of a mini mountainscape of Chris Wardiness. So a celebration of themselves, and bloody hell, why not? I think the watch itself, when it was released, is a little bit of a contrast for the brand who've made themselves, pretty famous, I think, by their 600s, 300s dive watches. So this is a little bit of a break from form, but I think, yeah, a brilliant choice, because it adds something very different to the watch, the quiver of watch designs that the brand has. I'm going to be honest though, and I think that there is a slight downside to that that is evident on that silvery white dial, and it may not be evident, I think, on the other color dials, and that is that it reflects so much light actually outside in the sunshine, as you can see here, that the hands do vanish a fraction in the glare of the sunlight. So what you do need to do then is just readjust the position of the angle of your wrist in order to check the time in bright sunlight. But also notice here inside, you can see that the sides of the hour markers and the hands absorb so much of that reflection that they almost appear to have black edges, which then in turn adds, I think, to the overall legibility. To integrate or not to integrate bracelets, yep, that is the question. But they certainly do seem to be de rigueur at the moment. Lots of brands offering integrated bracelets, and I think there's something really quite special about the sheen, the way it moves. Very, very slinky, very, very, very well oiled. Everything moves brilliantly. I think it's almost. And again, you've got brushing down that side. I think it almost reminds me of the freshly buffed armour on jousting day at Camelot. Rename the watch the Envy of Sir Galahad. I think that strap is absolutely brilliant. I'm not a huge fan of integrated bracelets, but the more and more I look at this, and when you get it on wrist, let me just show you now. It just works absolutely superb. Yes, sizing an integrated bracelet can be a challenge. As well, we've got a butterfly clasp at the back here with a little bit of a sign there. Again, not my favourite type of clasp, as I say, because it can make that sizing aspect a little bit difficult. Chris Ward sized this for me before sending it to me for review, and as I say, completely changed my mind. As I say, you look at these things online, and let me just pull back a fraction. You look at these things online and in pictures and you go, I think that, yeah, it's a little bit too dressy for me, it won't work. Get it on wrist and it's kind of like, all right, okay. I was wrong. I think though that there is, as you can see, there's a slight push up there from its tightness. So I mean, again, I think it would benefit from having, just a form of additional sizing here, because again, on a hot day, my wrist is going to swell up, veins are going to pop out. It's going to make this watch too tight to wear. So I think, again, if there was a way that they could extend that, just that they've got a micro adjust feature in there, I think it would make a huge difference to the overall usability of the watch. Again, I think obviously the integration of the bracelet sort of is in line with the ethos of the watch design overall. That the rubbers straps that they do come with as an alternative, may be the solution for many people who find that the sizing of these things is an issue. Now, again, I'm a little bit of an OCD watch nutter, and I have spotted, for example, on some of these things. Again, let me zoom back in here. Is that there is very limited finishing on the end of the links here, and that's actually the same on both sides. It's a little bit rough, and that's a surprise because the attention to detail on the finishing everywhere else on the watch is absolutely brilliant. But as I say, on some of these, the finishing is a little bit basic. Now, again, I don't know if that's because this is a prototype watch that the company have had in, that they send out to reviewers. But I think for the price package that you're paying, you probably would want a better finishing. As I say, it's not on all of them. It tends to be on, it's on those which are closer to the closer here. As I say, a little bit of a surprise to an OCD watch nutter that's the case, that most people aren't going to spot that and aren't going to be bothered by it. But yeah, it's something that I have noticed, and again, I want to be completely upfront with you. Coming back to the dial, the hour hands and the hour markers are sort of the opposite reflections of each other. The shapes are the same, but they simply point at each other as opposites, and I think that's a nice play on form. I think as well, another thing to note, the length of the seconds hand and the minute hand, again, absolutely perfect. They hit the seconds hand there, hit those second markers, minute markers, and again, they extend the perfect length into the markers there. Again, for me, very important point. The date window is a fraction small down there. You can see that the 3 just, you know, nestles quite tightly in there. So again, bear that in mind if you're a big calendar user of your date wheel. Notice as well, as again, I'm getting too much reflection here, but I'll put up a close-up of the hour markers. You notice that the brushing on the hour markers seems a little bit coarser, perhaps, than the brushing elsewhere on the watch. Now, I'm wondering if they've done that on purpose, because that helps them to reflect less light, or you know, just provide an additional contrast. Again, thoughts on a postcard to Bombardier HQ, please, if you have any ideas about why the brushing on the markers is different to the brushing else, you know, for example, specifically on the hands, etc. The bezel, all dodecanal, not often a word that we find ourselves using. I find it quite unique. My brain is not as caffeine fueled as it usually is today. So if you're able to tell me of any other 12-sided dodecanal bezels, please do let me know. I think it's very subtle, and I did read somebody in a blog somewhere saying that the bezel isn't thick enough, but I think because it's so thin, it just allows the dial to illuminate out. But then if you really want to study the dial, you turn it on the side, and that's when you really start to see the play there. We come round to the back, you will notice that the screw-in case back is also a 12-sider, and again another nod to Monsieur Genta, with the screws in the back there being open, and then obviously that huge porthole into the back there showing our Sellita SW200, and obviously again with the Chris Ward stamping signing on there. Yeah, it's pretty damn attractive. But again, as you can see there, you can just see the base of the clasp there. You see the finishing on that. Again, I'm going to suggest that this is not a for sale version. It's a version that's been sent out to reviewers. So again, a little bit unfinished in some aspects, or not as well cared for as perhaps a watch that will be coming to you new. But again, really nice to be able to see that movement through there. I think sometimes portholes aren't necessarily big enough or clear enough, so I'm getting so you can't actually see the movement at work, which is the whole point of having that. All right. Other things to note as well, you've got some quite subtle screwed in crown guards there, and again, you know, they do provide a little bit of imbalance to the watch, but I think they're nice. Again, because that crown being screw in, makes sense to have those little crown guards on the side. I think as well, another aspect of the dial that I really like is the fact that it's got very limited text on it, just the automatic at the bottom there down towards the 6. Again, just I think many brands, you know, clutter up dials with text, so it's good to see that they have resisted the temptation here. So in conclusion then, the Bombardier wrap-up. I know the Tissot PRX is very, very popular, and I think you're getting a lot of bang for your buck with that one. But to me, the 12 is a little bit of a step up in many areas. Yes, you could reference the Chapek, but they do look similar. But the price tag of the Chapek, what is it, 20 odd grand? I think surely makes that a moot conversation, because yeah, there's not many of us can afford 20 grand's worth of watch. Personally, I would buy one of the other dial colours, because I think, as I say, the surface of the dial would look better in a different colour. Because again, as I say, or alternatively, you know, you be aware that if you think you're getting a white dial, you choose a white dial, and you've gone for this option, just be aware of the fact that it isn't going to look white in hand. You're getting something else. So if you're aware of that and you're happy with that, then yeah, good choice. But as I say, I think some of the other dial colours might suit that design overall. Yeah, okay, so massive thanks again to Chris Ward for lending this one out to me. Really appreciate the brand support of the channel. It is a loaner, unfortunately, so it does have to go back, so I'm going to have to get it back into post, but I'd love to hang on to it for another week and wear it. Anyway, over to you guys. What's your take on this particular watch design of theirs? What are your thoughts? What do you like and dislike about it? Look forward to your comments as always. Thanks as always for your time and for your view, and we'll catch you all in the next review. Cheers, guys.